daughter has passed away," my mother said in a somber tone over the phone to my husband. "What? Laura?" he exclaimed. "What do you mean, what? My daughter, your wife," she retorted. "What?" I could tell over the phone how flustered my husband was. The way he had treated me was far too cruel. Now was the time for him to face the consequences. My name is Lily. I am a 35-year-old homemaker, raised by a bus driver father and a homemaker mother, along with my younger sister, who's 3 years my junior. Dad was always kind, and Mom had a gentle nature, making for a happy family life. My sister Grace, a real go-getter, hasn't married yet and is all about her career. I met Aaron through an office romance. Tall, handsome, and kind, he was quite the catch at work. Being play and shine, I quickly fell for his intense courtship. He said he preferred a kind-hearted person over someone flashy. Soon after we got married and I became a homemaker to support him. We were blessed with a girl whom we named Laura. Thanks to financial help from our parents, we were able to build our dream home. I should have been at the peak of happiness, until I discovered Aaron's true nature. After Laura was born, Aaron's attitude became increasingly arrogant. He stopped calling me by my name. Hey, he would call out whenever he needed something. As I struggled to lose weight after giving birth, he would mockingly say, "Aren't you ashamed of that figure? Fatso, old hag," and kept taunting me with fatso, old hag at every opportunity. Around this time, he began coming home late at night or in the early morning, reeking of perfume from his suit. Once, I complained to him, "Raising a child is tough for me too. Don't go out drinking every day. Spend some time with Laura." He suddenly got angry, threw a chair at me, and yelled, "I'm not drinking because I want to. It's for work. Work. Why can't you understand that, you fatso? You're just taking it easy at home, repeating the same routine every day with childcare. Try working outside." After that, I was too scared to anger him and became silent. At the same time, my monthly allowance was cut to just $200. "Make do with $200. You've got plenty of free time as a housewife," became his mantra, and I had to dip into my savings to get by. Life became increasingly difficult with just $200 a month. Yet, thinking of my young daughter, I couldn't bring myself to leave, always ending up thinking, but still. The fact was, I couldn't replace one need for another. I started doing freelance design work, a skill I had from my previous job, and eventually earned as much as Aaron did. With the money issue somewhat resolved, I felt I could keep going a few more years. Then came a holiday when Laura turned 3. My husband's phone rang while he was in the bath. Unusually, it was left out on the desk. I ignored it at first, but it kept ringing, so I sneaked a peek and saw a woman's name. I realized my husband was seeing another woman. When he came out of the bath, I said nonchalantly, "Your phone was ringing." I could see his face change color immediately. "Did you look at my phone?" "I didn't," I replied, trembling. My husband went into the bedroom with a frustrated look on his face, and I realized I was unconsciously crying. But I couldn't let it go at that. From then on, I secretly started recording our conversations with a voice recorder. I also hired a private investigator and obtained undeniable evidence of his affair. When our daughter turned 5, the final blow came. I never imagined my husband could be so cruel. Even thinking about it now scares me. First, the days he didn't come home began to increase. He always said he was on a business trip, but I knew immediately that there were no business trips in his department as I worked at the same company. Such an insult. I was completely fed up with him going to his affair partner under such an obvious lie and seriously started considering divorce. That morning, as usual, he said he had a sudden business trip as he went downstairs. "Well, the food isn't great anyway. Might as well eat something good for a change," he said sarcastically. I finally snapped. "What? Don't joke with me. What do you mean by the food isn't great? I'm here making dinner you hardly ever eat every day. Where are you really going on these business trips? I have evidence." The moment I said that, my husband, furious, shouted, "Don't you talk back to me," and pushed me. He looked down at me as I fell to the floor and said, "Ha! Look at you, you ugly fatso, serves you right," and hurried out of the house. I hit my head hard on the floor and gradually lost consciousness. When I came to, I was in a hospital bed. My daughter and my parents looked at me worriedly. "Mom, are you okay?" "Laura, did you save me? Ouch!" I tried to get up hastily, feeling pain all over my body. However, miraculously, my injuries weren't serious and I was told I could be discharged the same day. "Yeah," Laura said. "Mom's hurt. Please come home, Dad." But Dad said, "I'm at work, so it's impossible." Though he lied. "So I called Grandma." My mother continued. "So I called an ambulance. It was really shocking. What happened?" After asking the nurse to take my daughter outside the room, I revealed all the terrible things my husband had done to my parents. They listened solemnly, and then my father said, "Come back home and make sure he pays for what he's done. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth." I decided to put an end to this marriage. Of course, after properly setting things, we held a family meeting right there and decided to launch a big counterattack against my husband. The next day, my husband called my phone. My mother answered and said in a somber voice, "Daughter has passed away." The call was on speaker mode, and of course it was being recorded. My wife? Laura? What are you talking about? My daughter, your wife. What? I could tell my husband was flustered over the phone. My mom pressed my husband with questions. "It seems like falling and hitting your head on the floor was the cause. Do you have any idea about it?" "No, I don't," he replied, with tears in his voice that seemed all too contrived. I said, "Have a good day this morning when she was all cheerful. How could this happen all of a sudden?" I wanted to scream, "Liar!" but I managed to keep my anger in check. "You pushed me!" "More importantly, where are you now?" My mom asked her, her voice laden with anger. "Well, the thing is, I'm on a business trip right now, and it will take me about half a day to get back home." "Come back immediately. I'm taking my daughter and we're going back to our house right now," she said before hanging up. We rushed home and I quickly gathered evidence of his affairs and a voice recorder, then consulted a lawyer. I also checked the bank and life insurance accounts, finding that he hadn't done anything yet. To prepare for the confrontation, I sent my daughter to my sister's place for safety and waited for my husband's return with my parents. Eventually, my husband came home and I was taken aback. "Who's that?" To my surprise, he came back with another woman. He was speechless, realizing that I, whom he thought was dead, was actually alive. "What? Why are you here? More importantly, who is she?" "You deceived me," his voice cracked. "I'm not as bad as you, so who is she?" "What? I thought you were going back to your parents' house." "This is my house. Never mind that. Who is she?" "No, it's not like that. This person is a client." I interrupted him by laying out the photos of his affair obtained through a detective agency. "According to my investigation, she's the woman in these photos." "What? Are these photos doctored or something?" "Look at the date on the photos. My diary says Aaron is on a business trip. When I called his company, they said he was on paid leave. It's easy to find out if he actually took a leave or not. Who's deceiving who? Besides, why is she here today?" "Well, that's because there was a reason," he started, but the woman cut him off. "My name is Grace. I'm in a relationship with Aaron, considering marriage. You're his sister, right? You're alive?" "I'm not his sister. I'm Aaron's wife," I replied, surprised. When I responded in surprise, she also exclaimed in a surprised tone, "Wife? I heard that he was living with his older sister." "What? What are you talking about?" I glared at my husband with fury and he started to cower. Even then, he stammered and tried to make a feeble counter-argument. "There's a reason for this. Our relationship was strictly professional. I'll explain later." By now, Grace seemed to grasp the situation. "Aaron, you said your sister had passed away, and now you have a wife. What's going on?" "Well, I was deceived." "No, the one who's been deceived here is me. You've been cheating on me behind my back for years, and to top it off, you pushed me and caused my injury." "Are you saying you did something so terrible to your wife? That means it could happen to me too," Grace said, half in disbelief. "That's not true. I love you," my husband protested. "So you're admitting to the affair," I retorted. "No, it's not like that." This must be what they call a showdown. I managed to remain calm. My parents were even calmer, giving my husband a cold stare. There's not even a micron of love left for him. "Divorce," I declared bluntly. "Splitting up," she cut off sharply. "Pushing me is already a serious crime. Plus, there's proof of your affair, so brace yourself for a hefty compensation," I said. "I utterly despise you for being married. You deceived me. Give me back my time. I will demand an apology of equal weight, so be prepared," she retorted furiously. Then my husband defiantly said, "Falling to the floor was your own careless mistake, wasn't it? Do you have any proof that I pushed you?" That's when I pulled out the IC recorder. It had recorded our conversation and the vivid sound of him pushing me. "Also, it perfectly records your past statements where you verbally abused me. No escaping now," I added. To which she further said, "On my end, I have evidence and messages where you met me at a matchmaking party and called your wife your sister, so there's no escaping that either." Cornered, my husband lashed out in anger. "Shut up. If it weren't for you, I would have been with her, using your life insurance. She's the daughter of a major client." Marrying her would have secured my promotion. This is all your fault. He started throwing things around and lunged at me. At that moment, my father quickly subdued him with a judo hold, a skill he mastered considering his job as a bus driver, preparing for emergencies. Then she slapped him back and forth. This one's for me and this is for your wife. She then fiercely kneed him in the groin. Ah! To the agonized man, I calmly said, about the life insurance, I've made my parents the beneficiaries, considering the worst. You won't get a dime. And do you remember who owns the house? My parents paid for it, so it's in their name. Now, get out. She added, insult to injury. So, you dated me because I was the executive's daughter. Sorry it didn't work out for you. In the end, I divorced my husband and got all the alimony possible. Of course, I kicked him out and now live with my parents. We're even remodeling the house. My husband's affair with this girlfriend became known at the company. Being an important client's daughter, her parents were furious. After divorcing me, of course, he had to break up with her as well, and due to the reason being what it was, he faced demotion. Even at his new job, he couldn't get along with anyone and resigned. She also demanded alimony from him, leaving his severance nearly depleted. He's currently job hunting. The girlfriend, unaware of everything, came to apologize with a letter and nuisance fee after discussing with her parents. She soon married a genuinely single man through matchmaking. I felt sorry for her tearful apology, given she wasn't at fault, but I was relieved to hear she married successfully. As for me, my home-based design business is thriving, and I've successfully started a company. It was a small company with a few employees at first, but thanks to loyal old members, our performance has steadily improved. Recently, our employee count significantly increased, and we plan to buy a building near the station next year, literally expanding our company's scale. My daughter doesn't miss her father at all. In fact, she strongly perceives him as a bad person who didn't come to help Mama when she was hurt and refuses to see him. With the marital strife gone, she seems to be growing up freely and happily. Recently, I received a creepy message from my ex-husband saying, "Are you well? I'm currently fighting with myself. I've had a chance to reflect. Let's try again together. You must be feeling lonely by now. I'm open to reconciling. I love you." So I left it on read. After receiving several similar messages, I replied, "I will consult with a lawyer again." What's he talking about now? If you're going to fight, you should have done it much sooner. That's what I thought to myself. It's often said what goes around comes around, but I never imagined it would apply so fittingly to my ex-husband when we first got married. Recently, I took my parents and sister on a family trip to express my gratitude for their support. Relaxing in a hot spring, I felt both financially stable and at peace, thinking to myself, I am happy. "Hey Mom, I really want a cat," my daughter said while eating at a traditional inn during our trip. "That sounds great. Let's go look for a partner for Laura sometime." We all love cats too. What kind of cat would you like? A few days after this conversation, a new member joined our family, a kitten named Loki, a small, playful, and adorable kitten. "Come here, Loki, come here." I can hear my daughter's lively voice playing with Loki even today. And finally, my sister got married. She caught a kind, elite businessman and finally tied the knot. Moreover, she's expecting a baby, so our house is going to get even livelier from now on. The parents, daughter, and Loki, our stories never end. I hope these happy days last as long as possible. That's what I'm wishing for. Thank you for watching the video all the way to the end. If you resonated with the content, please leave a positive rating and a comment.